morning, everyone. It's 22 degrees sunny in Johannesburg, and it's truly a beautiful, beautiful day. And welcome to In Conversations with Oracle Media. Thank you so much for joining us out. Really want to thank each and every single person that has been with us throughout the month of August, where we have celebrated women across the globe in different spaces, and also just it's been so wonderful to see all of those women come up. I'd like to really apologize today. We have had technical problems since morning, and hence we are only starting now. But we are more than happy that we finally made it. So in this conversation today, which is going to be a very interesting one and a very sad one because it's our last one. But don't worry, we are getting into September and all of the other months where we are going to have interesting conversations as well. Now, in this conversation, we would like to reflect on the recent research, which suggests that the widely held idea that women are less confident in their abilities than men is an incorrect interpretation or of appearances. The alleged lack of confidence has been cited as one of the contributors to inequality in promotions and poor representation of women at the top levels of corporate leadership. However, the problem isn't that women aren't confident, but that confidence in women is not rewarded in the work environment. And that can create the imposter syndrome, and an imposter syndrome, which is a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their skills, their talents, their accomplishments, and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. And in this conversation, I have a very interesting woman who represents women power and leadership. She's a transformational coach who specializes in personal transitioning, leadership, and creating balance in personal growth and human development. She's been a public speaker with experience of over 9 years. She is a conversationalist, and that is why I'm looking forward to this conversation today. She is in debate. If you have you heard it for yourself. She's a renowned gender and social activist. She's a dynamic writer and a commentator, a corporate trainer specializing on workplace transformation, crisis management, as well as stakeholder relations. I am not going to steal the shine from her. I'm going to allow her to introduce herself because she's here in the room with us. Hi, Anele, how are you?
Good morning, Sinanziwe, and thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. And also let me send my heartfelt morning to David as well, and to every person who is watching us today. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Anele. We always love celebrating women, and I will not lie to you, this is something that we've done the entire month. Last week, we had an amazing conversation with Margaret where we're talking about how we empower women. And today we're talking about the internal part of a woman in a corporate environment, the confidence that women need to carry. And I just want to hear from you. You know, it's been Women's Month. How has been your Women's Month?
It has been very much exciting. I have been speaking to, I think I've spoken now to virtual women events that were both internationally, continentally, and here in South Africa. I think I've spoken to 16 so far. So you guys are my 17th, and I still have 5 more events that I must speak to that are about the Women's Month, but they are going to be in the month of September because not all of them could fit in my diary, unfortunately. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So we actually need more than 30 days of August in a calendar.
Trust me, trust me.
You seem like a woman that is very confident in all of your spaces. I mean, we're talking about 17 events and it's only the 31st and there's still 5 more to go. Can we talk about the power of women confidence and what it can do for women?
You know, the power of a woman and the confidence of a woman, Sinanziwe, is actually a tool for each and every society that woman comes from. The minute we can begin to understand that women are the most resource that a society has in its disposal, the minute we can tap into the greater resourcefulness that women are in our places and in our structures. A woman is a resource at home. A woman is a resource in her community. A woman is a resource just by virtue of being a woman. And for me, when we understand this as the society, the power and the confidence of a woman, it's when we stop doubting the intellectual prowess, ability and capacity and expertise of a woman by just looking at who they are. A woman is more than just the breasts that are hanging on her chest. A woman is more than just the private part that she holds in between her legs. A woman is a power. A woman is a resourceful tool and a powerful weapon a society has to destroy that which that cannot be destroyed by society alone. But also, a woman is a stone that you can break into smaller particles to build whatever that is needed in society, because a woman is diverse in her character. And also, as women, Sinanziwe, we are the rocks that keep everything intact in our places.
Let's talk about a woman in a work environment, right? We see that women are one of, they've become sought out for leadership positions and all of that. But I think after what you have just said, let's put it in the context of a woman in a work environment, right? You are this young woman at the age of 20 getting into a corporate environment where you have people at the age of 40, 50, 60, and you're getting into that space. How do we ensure, what will your advice be in terms of how a woman can use her confidence in a way that it is in line with the transformation and the leadership of the company and growing that company? Because I feel like a lot of young people get into a leadership position and they crumble.
That's very true. The first thing that we need to understand is that the evolution of the workplace must be seen through the lenses of the young people that are embraced into the workspace. One of the most critical things that especially women need to learn in the workplace is that we must be seen, those of us who are inside and who are in senior positions, we must be seen to be allowing the young Nanziwe, who is fresh from varsity, who is hungry and yearning to learn, who wants so much. We must be seen to be that sponge that Sinanziwe can absorb knowledge from, and Sinanziwe can use her fresh memory, her fresh experience of varsity and come with it. And we as women who are in the workplace and who have been in the corporate space, we must be willing to infuse and integrate Sinanziwe with all her expertise into the workplace. One of the things that I've realized and I've experienced and I've stood against very vehemently in the workplace, especially in corporate, is that young women, when they come, they get tokened into these flower girls who are not being regarded as people who are intellectual, who need to be given full support in the workplace, but who equally must be recognized that they did not wake up and see themselves here just for a mere internship. They are now part of the workplace, and us as women, we need to be seen to be opening those boardrooms, ensuring that there is nothing that must make me be threatened by that. There is a new Sinanziwe now who is a master's graduate in whatever, who is coming in the workplace. I should not be threatened by the fact that there is new blood that is coming in. I have my own 14 years of experience management in corporate. Why should I be threatened by a youngster who is coming? She's obviously going to start where I started. All that I could do and all that I should do is to hold her hand, make her be able to see that the environment that we are in, as much as she is new, one day she's going to grow up the ranks and she's going to be where I am. This is what I need to do to prepare her for the day that is not yet today. But the most important thing, Sinanziwe, is that women must begin to be champions of each other's prosperity in workplaces. not each other's blockages. And we shouldn't, like I say, there's nothing that should intimidate me about you, whether you come with credentials that are far ahead of mine at the time I came here. That should not even be a point of competition. I shouldn't be in competition with a young woman who I have got so much to give and who's got so much to learn from. So I should embrace you, and you should embrace the fact that you are coming into a space where I've been here.
You know, it's amazing that you bring that up, because what has been going on in all of these conversations and what I have picked up, I remember when we're talking about the women supporting women and how women are actually oppressing other women. And when you speak about this, it kind of makes me sad, but at the same time, it makes me wonder now, how do we prepare the young Sinanziwe who's getting into a work environment that is like that? What will your advice be to that young woman who's getting into this corporate industry that is so tight and does not really allow her, and it makes her shaky? How can she better deal with the situation?
It will start with us, Sinanziwe, the analysts of this world. We should not make it fashionable to the male counterparts at our workplaces to make it okay that Anele must be a weapon used against a Margaret, or Anele must be used as a weapon against a Linda or a Humutso or a Buitumelo. Anele, before even Sinanziwe steps into the environment, Anele must be a cultivating force that says this workplace will recognize a woman for who she is, a woman for all her credentials, for all her expertise, and for all her professional reputation that she has and she holds. Once we manage to demystify and once we manage to deconstruct that mindset from our male colleagues, we will know it when we are doing wrong by a new Sinanziwe who comes into a professional workplace, that it will not be under my watch that another female will make Sinanziwe her tea girl when Sinanziwe is coming here as a graduate who qualified, who went to an interview, who did her best in the interview, and who gave the best shot. And that is the reason why now she got to be appointed. So no colleague of mine, no female colleague of mine must find comfort in having me experiencing them treating a new Sinanziwe. Like, no, this new girl that has just recently joined the company is going to be my tea girl, is going to be my runner for lunch, is going to be my messenger, is going to be my printer, all the minute we do those things to young girls that are coming into the corporate workplace, what are we doing? Is simply to exacerbating the environment that is anti-women, but also we are portraying the normalization of the wrong culture in corporates of women being regarded. All of us, we are always seen as though she landed here because she slept with someone. So when we do that, we make women to lose the value unto themselves and within themselves, and then be seen to be, they came here because somehow someone did a favor. We ought to stick and live on our merit. We ought to make sure that we are seen by our merit before we are seen by our gender.
I'm just looking at this whole scenario, and I'm thinking about all of the young women that are listening to this live right now, and I'm recalling one of the things that stood out with our conversation with Miss Mimi Roop, where she said, as a woman, when you walk into a work environment as a worker. Whether you are in mining, you are in engineering, you are in one of the most male-dominated industries, walk in as a worker and do what you have to do. And when you bring that up, it brings me down to the imposter syndrome, right? So we have a psychological pattern in which women doubt their skills, women doubt their talents, they doubt their accomplishments, they look down on themselves. What will your advice be to all women, both young, the ones that are still upcoming, and the ones that are older than the millennials and all of that? What will your advice be in terms of overcoming imposter syndrome?
You know, one of the things that we must say and boldly and courageously so, Sinanziwe, is that every workplace, the first challenge that you will experience there is that as a woman, you will have to prove yourself that you are worthy of being there. No man will have to prove that they are worthy of being there. That's the first thing. We now have legislations that ought by now to have made it totally impossible that we still experience such instances where women are treated in a manner in which they are made to doubt who they are by competence, don't believe in the skill sets that they possess, that is by merit, but equally look down on their own abilities, yet they have maybe experience to show. For me, the most important thing and the advice that I would give is that we need to begin as women to assert ourselves unapologetically. No man is going to come and say, Anele, I hear your voice. It is loud and crystal clear. No man is going to come and say, Anele, you are making the change that is required. You are speaking against ills in the workplace that ought not to be there. And we are making the strides to change those if I am not doing the change. So it starts with us. For as long as there is one of us in the chain who makes just it possible for one man to punch holes of doubt in your ability, in your capacity, in your intellectual prowess, a person is going to come and talk down on the fact that you are a full professional, you are a fully fledged professional, you lack nothing that makes you to be worthy of being where you are. The minute that we allow just one person to cast doubt and aspersions on your ability as a woman, we will be wrong ourselves, because for a man to demonize and weaponize women, it takes a willingness from a woman.
Oh, wow. It takes willingness from the woman herself. Right. I'm just, while you're talking, I'm thinking, okay, so now we have all of these issues in society in which we've been fighting for years. And the inequality between a man and a woman and all of that. And listening to the conversations and the transition in terms of where they are going, you realize that women are standing up. Women are saying, I'm going to do this. I am not going to, I know all of these issues exist, but this is what I choose to do as an individual. But now, how do you think that organization can assist, like different organizations or work environments can assist in ensuring that women do not have imposter syndrome?
That's where workplace transformation and workplace diversity comes into place, because the minute each organization and each institution and each company has a desire through its policies, the minute it's documented that we do have a desire to ensure that our environment is a replica of our society, reflects the society that we are. The society that we are says in South Africa, women are more than men. Women are more qualified than men. Women are more, they excel in what they do, equally like men. So for us, the most important thing that companies need to do, Sinanziwe, is to ensure that we do have workplace transformation and diversity policies in place, because it is true that we will be able to correct the wrongs in our companies. And once we have the policies first, it means the company itself understands that it has got a role in ensuring that the historical imbalance that have been created by very clear policies that were meant to ensure that a woman is put at the back pages of the history books in terms of authoring the future. That is change. So the workplace gender imbalanced landscape requires workplace transformation and diversity policies, requires a leadership in each and every company that will understand that without transformation, we should not transform, Snanziwe. We should not transform because we are doing women a favor. We must transform because each company, for every company that has got a good CEO, I tell you now, there's a greater CFO in a woman. For every company that has got a great COO in a woman, there is exactly a good general or executive manager in the same company. All that it requires is that we must have policies in place that will make it impossible for women to continue suffering the syndrome of being made imposters, because our male colleagues may be so threatened by our skill set and capacity and intellectual prowess, so much that it works better that they rather present us and project us as these dummies who are not worthy of being in the same positions like them. Our worth cannot come from a definition of anyone else. With our skill sets, with our prowess and intellectual capacity, we have defined who we are, and the workplaces must be embracive to these expertise that women possess.
So the statement remains, woman, you are enough. Just believe in that. Listen, wherever you go.
We are more than enough. We are more than worthy. We need no definition. Our worth, Nanziwe, starts when we do the impossibles. It starts when we do things that no man can do by virtue of just being a woman. I mean, we can talk until thy kingdom come. It is time that we remove, we destroy, we cut it down, we erase, we cut every single piece in our society that seeks to want to affirm a woman through the lenses of who looks at a woman. We need no one's worth. We need no one's affirmation. We need no validation. We are fully validated. Our worth even attests to that.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. I mean, we hear the word "you are enough" at all times, you know, and it's almost as if everyone, it becomes a song. And I think a lot of young women say, but you're saying I'm enough, but I don't feel enough. So how do I get to the point where I feel enough? And I think today what you've done is give the young women that are watching us today the platform, but also you've given them that courage of saying, it doesn't matter where you are. If you have the qualification, if you have the skill, go into that work environment. Don't look at yourself as just a woman. Look at yourself as a professional that is qualified for the job, and walk in just as that, because you are enough already. So I think that brings me to my question around the current issues in young people. You know, you're a transformational leader. You are in the top 200 young leaders in Africa. I mean, wow, documented, you know, published for the world to see. So I'm going to take advantage of this situation and ask all the questions I need to. And I think the current issues with the young women, I mean, the stats are saying it, that our 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds are out there, and we have an increased rate in pregnancies, and it's a mess. So I want to ask, with the current issues of young people in Africa, what do you think we should be focusing on in building these young women or in these young people?
I loved when you wrapped my input by, in essence, I'm saying you are enough as a woman. That's true. Maybe what we need to do, Snanziwe, is also to contextualize that sense of being enough in a woman that you are. And I mean, it's catastrophic that in 2021, when we talk about South Africa, we talk about Gauteng, where you are having almost 1,000 of girls between the ages of 10 to 14 being pregnant. And I can dare say, those girls were not impregnated by 16-year-olds. They were impregnated by fully fledged men who understand what they were doing. But you know, one thing that I love to say when I speak in some platforms is that sometimes the experiences that we go through at our fragile and tender age it's a very painful preparation for a future so hostile that we will not need to go through what we are going through now, but we will understand why were we made to go through what we went through during the tender age of our lives. So what I think right now we need to start looking at and start preparing our young girls for is that, first of all, a young girl who has been raped, you are not defined by that rape. You are not the rapist. A young girl who got impregnated as a result of rape, that child is not defined by the circumstances under how they were conceived. So you shouldn't hold yourself as a young girl. You shouldn't hold yourself to, you shouldn't punish yourself to the result of the occurrences that you had no control over. Neither should your child suffer the consequences of how they got to exist. But over and above that, we need to start posing a very fundamental question to our fellow men in this country and the world over. To what end will women be subjected to your brutality? What is the sin that is at the center of the brutality with which you treat women? What is it that women owe you so we can start, even if it's a stokvel contribution, to pay the price, because women are tired. You know, in 2016, when Anele Mda in Western Cape was raped, killed, and parts of her body were, I mean, she got her breast cut, they were stashed in her private part at the tender age of 14. I never thought that after Anele Mda, we will have a Karabo that was killed, with the brutality that she was killed with. I never thought that we'll have an Uyinene Mkhwetyana that was killed with the way in which she was killed. I never thought we will have the many other faceless victims whose names have never been mentioned, but we are still where we were back then. It's now the time for us to pose the question to the women, to the men of South Africa. What will it take, especially those who have got sisters, especially those who've got daughters? What will it take for men to know women do not owe their existence to men, and men have no reason being the reason for our life to end, because we don't exist at the mercy of each other. We equally exist, and each one of us ought to let one just be. And for me, the most important thing is that the young girls that are coming up who are experiencing this brutality, a generation of my people must be warm, tender, and embracive to these young girls. They don't know where their life is going to go right now, but it's going to take them to know that Anele, in 2021, she's 43. She once stayed under a bridge with her son at a tender age of 20. Anele is here today. I've traveled the world. I've spoken alongside people that some people sit in their homes and dream about sharing stages with those people. I never thought it's possible that I will have a face-to-face conversation with a Michelle Obama. But today, I literally can have such conversations with a person of Michelle Obama's caliber. I never thought I could share stage with presidents of countries. I mean, I've spoken alongside people like the Rwandan president, Paul Kagame. That's just to name the few. But all that I'm saying is that for me to take my pain and lift it for the young girl who today is stuck in a worse situation, the encouragement that they will get from me is to say, I went through things that were not similar to yours, but I know it's possible to make life beyond this experience.
We are truly not defined by our circumstances and our backgrounds and where we come from. And I think that's what's beautiful about this conversation today as we wrap up Women's Month, to remind women that it doesn't really matter where you come from, right? Use that pain as your power. Do not use it as something that you are ashamed of so much that you walk around with your head bowed down. I think that's one of the powerful things of how we can actually wrap up this Women's Month in those conversations. And you've touched on something that you've been hiding, Anele, and I just want to pull it out just a little bit, just pull it out and bring it here, right? So you have just given us a hint of your background and your life and how you've climbed up the ladder, you know, and we have just a few minutes for us to just wrap up this conversation. And I think it would be a powerful wrap up if you can tell us about how you've used your pain, you've used your challenges. I mean, being pregnant at the age of 20, giving birth and having no place to go to, but then you are Anele Mda today. How does a young person even get there? Give us just your last words with those.
You know, the most important thing, Sinanziwe, is live a vision today of yourself that you will accomplish tomorrow. But let that vision stick with you. When you fall, the vision must be the compelling energy that says, wake up, Anele. When it's raining, you are wet, you don't have anything else to change and get warm. Say, Anele, the vision, Anele. When you are digging, I used to dig, this is me, I'm not talking about a story that I read. I used to dig municipal dustbins for food, to feed myself and feed my son. But you know, when I would be digging those dustbins, I used to know that, and I used to say to myself, you are not of the current circumstances. You are of the story of the future. That story is being written now. So I created a very solid, and I'm not going to lie to you and say, where did I get the wisdom and where did I get the courage and the strength? I think it was just prayers of my grandmother. I built a very strong energy about myself, that I created this Anele that I had in the picture. I mean, I never had TV at home and whatnot, but I had an opportunity of sometimes bumping into magazines. So I created this picture of an Anele that I pasted in a particular magazine, and I said, this is Anele of the future. And every time I would feel that, you know what, I am so much engulfed with challenges, the pain and whatnot, I will remember that picture that I've painted of the Anele of the future. And that Anele did not mind digging the dustbins, did not mind, eating dirty oranges, rotten oranges, and wash them and whatnot. That Anele did not mind, walking down the streets and not being intoxicated. I mean, you can't stay on the streets and not do drugs and not do alcohol. You remain so much in touch and in contact with the future self, that nothing else matters. The most important thing, Sinanziwe, is that we build a mental strength as young girls. Girls in this current juncture are going through so much, but they need to understand that they are an extended generation of women of solitude. They are a generation that is an extension of the scars that have bled from us. Theirs is a wound that is a stamp that they also belong to the group of people. They also belong to generation of women whose strength is not defined by the scars, but the scars are the testimony of a life lived. And when you live, you fall. When you fall, you get bruised. When you get bruised, you either bandage yourself or you wash and walk on. All I need to say to young girls today, walk on. When you need to hold, when you're looking for people to hold your hands, find some of us. I'm a very proponent of, I'm a believer in building a young girl. I'm a believer that a leader of society will emerge from women, and we must dare not fail these young girls.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Anele. Really, 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 it's been great having you. And just tapping into your knowledge and your wisdom and your history and where you come from is really, truly an inspiration to a lot of people out there. Just to everyone that has joined us today, thank you so much for joining in Conversations with Oracle Media. We do have a lot coming up, industry-based, your whatever you look for. And in September, we look into fashion, we look into makeup. What should we be getting ourselves into? We've just finished celebrating wonderful and powerful women across the globe, just to ensure that you are motivated and you are inspired. Please do look at this. If you have just arrived in our In Conversation, this video will be available after this event, and you can share it with whoever you want to share it with, and whoever you feel needed this conversation today. Please feel free to do that. A big, big thank you to Oracle Media for the space, and also just for the opportunity for us to have conversations that mentor. Thank you so much to each and every woman that has joined us. Thank you so much, Anele, and we really do look forward to actually having you again in the future, talking about transformation and transforming lives. Thank you so much. That's it from me, and I have been your host for your month of August, Sinanziwe. Thank you so much, and here's a video for you to enjoy from Oracle Media.
Thank you.